Hi, and welcome to the Oikos Family Podcast. I'm Sonja Wood, and I am glad you stopped by to listen to this chapter of Tom White the Postboy that we are sharing with you here in this podcast. This chapter, chapter 4, which is episode 4, is sharing with us the value of caring for others and of treating others well. And I know as a parent myself, I found these little stories to be so valuable in assisting and helping me as a parent to be able to share other people's stories, other testimonies of choices others had made and what resulted from those choices. They've always just been so helpful to me to be able to have something other than just our own convictions or our own principles. When we can share beyond that, it takes it from it being just about our family and actually sharing with the children beyond ourselves. And that has always been valuable to me. And I did find that I would select these special little stories that had morals and principles in them that I found could be helpful in just planting those seeds in our children's hearts. So when they grew up and were adults, they knew they could go back to these stories, or they could use them in their own parenting, or they could find some fruit from them have those seeds having grown that they could then share with others as well. So to me, it's been a rich and rewarding experience to be spending some time in the old classics. This book was actually written in the 1700s, so don't expect modern language. It's very much set in that era, obviously, because that's when it was written, and it hasn't been changed for the sake of modernizing it for today, here in 2025. However, there are values and principles that are still to be treasured, in fact, even more so possibly, because we know that some principles and some characteristics seem to have faded until they can't even be found anymore. They've disappeared, it would seem. And so I'm hoping that by sharing them with you in these podcasts and creating audiobooks from the written text hard copy books and making those audiobooks available wherever audiobooks are distributed, I'm just hoping that that is going to result in these classics, these treasures, these principles, and these morals and ethics and everything that, as I say, seem to have faded. I'm hoping that just by having these podcasts and these audiobook productions and so forth, that they will come out of the shadows and become more front and center. Wouldn't that be nice? But even if they just come out of the shadows and they just are starting to filter back in so that people can actually know about these characteristics that are so important, rather than them just be something of the past. So this book is most certainly from the past 1700s. But as I say, for us, it continues to contain real treasures. And here is one right now, this chapter, which is chapter 4. And this is about, as I said at the beginning, the value of caring for others and treating them well. So here it is, chapter 4 from Tom White the Postboy.
The sheep shearing. Dr. Shepherd happened to say to Farmer White one day that there was nothing he disliked more than the manner in which sheep shearing and harvest home were kept by some in his parish. "What," said the good doctor, "just when we are blessed with a prosperous gathering in of these natural riches of our land, the fleece of our flocks, when our barns are crowned with plenty, and we have, through the divine blessing on our honest labor, reaped the fruits of the earth in due season, is that very time to be set apart for crudeness and riot and drunkenness? Do we thank God for his mercies by making ourselves unworthy and unfit to enjoy them? When he crowns the year with his goodness, shall we affront him by our impiety?" "I thank you for the hint, sir," said the farmer. I am resolved to rejoice, though, and others shall rejoice with me, and we will have a merry night on it." So Mrs. White dressed a very plentiful supper of meat and pudding, and spread out 2 tables. The farmer sat at the head of one, consisting of some of his neighbours and all his workpeople. At the other sat his wife, with 2 long benches on each side of her. On these sat all the old and infirm poor, especially those who lived in the workhouse, and had no day of festivity to look forward to in the whole year but this. On the grass in the little court sat the children of his labourers, and of the other poor, whose employment it had been to gather flowers, and dress and adorn the horns of the ram. For the farmer did not wish to put an end to any old custom, if it was innocent. His own children stood by the table, and he gave them plenty of pudding, which they carried to the children of the poor, with a little draught of cider to everyone. The farmer, who never sat down without begging on his meal, did it with suitable solemnity on the present joyful occasion. This feast, though orderly and decent, was yet hearty and cheerful. Dr. Shepherd dropped in with a good deal of company he had at his house, and they were much pleased. When the doctor saw how the aged and the infirm poor were enjoying themselves, he was much moved. He shook the farmer by the hand and said, "But when thou makest a feast, call the poor, the maimed, the lame, the blind, for they cannot recompense thee, but thou shalt be recompensed at the resurrection of the just." "Sir," said the farmer, "'tis no great matter of expense. I kill a sheep of my own, and potatoes are as plenty as blackberries, with people who have a little forethought. I have saved much more cider in the course of a year by never allowing any carousing in my kitchen, or drunkenness in my fields, than would supply many such feasts as these, so that I shall be never the poorer at Christmas. It is cheaper to make people happy, sir, than to make them drunk." The doctor and the ladies agreed to walk from one table to the other, and heard many merry stories, but not one profane word, or one indecent song, so that he was not forced to the painful necessity either of reproving them, or leaving them in anger. When all was over, they sung the 65th psalm, and the ladies all joined in it. And when they got home to the parsonage to tea, they declared they liked it better than any concert.